Today's topic, connecting with our voice. So how do we connect with our voice? How do we start to find out what we sound like, what we want to say, and how do we ultimately speak our truth? So this is a huge area for me. It's been one of the areas that I put most work into in my life, and also it's been one of the areas that I've had the strongest lessons around. For anyone who hasn't seen my work before, who doesn't recognize this face, my name is Darragh Sheehy, and my work is all about how we can have a better relationship with ourselves, how we can connect back into our hearts, and how when we're centered in ourselves, when we're aligned with ourselves, how that relationship can ripple into the relationships that we have in our lives. So this question comes up a lot around my work, from personal experience, from working with other people. And the first thing I'd say about connecting with our voice is the thing that generally happens is when we become suppressed or stuck in our throat, then there comes a time when the discomfort of that resistance becomes greater than the discomfort of the unknown. And what I mean by that is when we get to a point where we're so caught up or so blocked and dense because we want to speak our truth but we don't allow ourselves, and it comes into this transition where the uncertainty of what happens when we actually do say what we feel becomes less of a burden than actually holding on to what we're experiencing, holding on with what we have to say. And there's certain people that we will feel drawn to, that will open up around, or else we'll do it ourselves, or else we'll take to a creative form. So for me personally, it was mostly writing, and that didn't mean that I didn't judge myself for what I wrote or the process of it and kind of be critical, but the intention behind the work was to connect with my voice. And even though the judgment still existed, the writing still happened, the expression started to flow, started to trickle. And that's an important distinction because it's a process. And as I say, with the people that we feel drawn to in our lives, it's like there mightn't even be people we know or that we have already established relationships with. They're just people that we maybe just say something to or just radiate something that we connect with, and it feels like they are very open and non-judgmental. And the point of that is that there's a quote that I wrote, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, and it says, "The willingness to speak your truth tells a greater story than the words that follow can." And what I mean by that is, when we start to speak our truth, it doesn't matter how it comes out, because the intention behind it is to find, okay, how to express what we feel, how to find a form. And that's what I mean about the process. So when I see people, and I see loads of people because I recognize myself in all of them, who take to social media or who I meet and have a conversation with or observe from a distance, and they're doing their thing in their way, then I have so much admiration for that person, because not because of the form that comes out, is it good art or is it brilliant or not, but I can see deeper down what they're doing, what they want, and that they're actually allowing themselves to just express themselves. I suppose that's the most important step, is to allow ourselves to open up in our own way. And it's like this, and this will be on social media, and it's like, that's not for everybody. It's like we do it in our own way, and we feel intuitively drawn to the ways that we do it. And a lot of times, most of our interactions will be with other people in our lives, and that's what we have relationships for. It's a two-way street. We sit in the opposite chairs of the one who's expressing and the one that's holding space, and vice versa. So what I wanted to conclude the video around is that when we really feel like we want to connect with our voice strongly, and that we start to sense deep down there's a feeling that we might have something that's worth saying, then we're onto something. Because it's been in my experience that people I've met and the conversations I've had, and it's like the relationships I've had with my life, it's incredible. People are incredible, and every one of us have an amazing story, and we're all the same, or we're all equal ability, equal pegging. And the difference, the distinction between the hierarchy is our own judgment of ourselves or judgment of other people. It's like where I used to put people up on pedestals who I saw who were expressing themselves and flowing with themselves and looked like they had their lives in order, and it was like that goes two ways. That means that I put myself in this position, inferior to that person. But if I want to look at the other side of the stick, and this is one that used to beat me a lot, is that if I feel that there's people that are superior to me, there's people that are inferior to me, and that kind of takes the weight out of it because you lose your narrative around it. But really, it's like, it's a process, and we do it all in our own way, in our own time. And when the feeling in us, and every one of us have a feeling or this urge, impulse to be open, to be expressive of our feelings and our way of seeing the world, then when we start to explore that, then we learn so much more about ourselves, because we don't speak to someone, or we don't be creative just so we can show someone what we know. We do it as a way, as a means to understanding who we are. And what I mean by that is, as we're talking, as we're expressing ourselves, it doesn't need to come in the form of speech. As we're expressing ourselves, we're learning more and more of who we are, what we want, and we're creating, nurturing a relationship with ourselves that's going to be carried into all our relationships in our lives. So wherever you are in your journey, wherever this reaches you, I hope it resonates on some level, and it's like, do your thing. It's like, that's the message I got most from my previous videos, is you do you. And it's letting ourselves off the hook to just find our own 2 feet and walk our own path. As always, from my heart to yours, all the best. And as I said, if you have a comment, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can put it down below. It might be something that I explore in future videos. If on social media, then you can reach out to me directly with a question or something like that, an observation. And until again.